everyone, and welcome back to Scylla's Polecats, or welcome to Scylla's Polecats, and welcome to the new year. Let's see what 2024 has in store for us. So, I've decided that 2024 is going to be the year I'm both going to take easier, but also where I want to try and see if I can do something a bit more consistent with this channel. So I wanted to take this video to sit down, quite literally. I'm on the floor again, I couldn't be bothered. I'm not sorry. I wanted to take this moment to tell you all a bit more about my reading plans and the plans I have for this channel in 2024, and to talk about some of the books that I do plan on reading and how the rest is going to play out. So this is just going to be a low-key little chat video. Every once in a while I will be holding books into the camera, and I might be looking down onto my phone every once in a while because I'm doing some reading challenges and I have most of them on my phone on Storygraph. Links down below, by the way, if you want to follow me and see all my lovely reading challenges yourself. But without further ado, 2024. So I have noticed that if I give myself a specific number of books that I want to read every year, even though I usually very easily reach that, I think my goal for last year was 150 or 200 books, and I read a total of 255, let's not talk about that. Even though it's usually very easy for me to reach that number, the numbers did stress me out to a certain degree, as well as the numerous reading challenges I either made myself or joined, and so I'm scaling back on that this year. I did give myself the arbitrary reading goal of reading 50 books because I'm very sure I'm going to reach that. But I don't want to focus on numbers as much this year, so that's out of the window. I've joined, I think, 3 reading challenges, one of which I made myself, and another one is the 12 books in 12 months challenge, which basically just means that you get 12 friends to recommend you one book each, and then you just read them. And I'm probably gonna leave it at that. I might join 1 or 2 readathons throughout the year if I'm feeling like it, but personally I think we're just going to take it as it goes, really. This also means that I might not be making a lot of TBR videos. I will still be doing my TBR challenge, as in I have 2 jars essentially that I draw books from. One is for German books I got for really cheap, and the other one is for English books I got for really cheap, and or for free in both categories. And they're just books I kind of want to get rid of, or see if I like them enough to keep them, and because I'm not really that invested in them, because I didn't invest in them a lot, I find it easier to DNF those books than to keep going with them if I'm really finding myself disliking them. So I will be continuing with that, but I might not do targeted TBRs for each month. This might change throughout the year if I'm feeling like it. We don't know for sure. I'm not doing it for January. I'm just gonna read what I want to read, partially because up until almost half of it I will still be doing my BA thesis. I'm not entirely done yet. So we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna read for fun in between when I feel like I want to tear my hairs out because of my thesis. Another big plan I have, but that's for this channel specifically, is I do want to focus more on reviews. I've asked a few friends and I've looked around in my room and I've started writing down like a few pages worth of book titles in like specific genres. Like for example, for classics we have Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights, Frankenstein, Emma, Left Hand of Darkness, and Mrs. Dalloway. Few spoilers for next year. I want to make dedicated reviews for these books. They will probably not all go up in this year, because there's a lot of books on here. One of my friends went kind of wild. I love her very much. So there's a chance I'm not going to be getting to all of these this year, especially because most of the ones, even the ones I have read, I do want to reread in order to give them the time and space that they need for me to have like dedicated thoughts on them. So that's a big plan I have for this channel, because I find myself to really want to do that. And that's also one of the reasons I didn't want to overwhelm myself with too many new books at once, because I want to try and give books the time that I think they deserve. which doesn't necessarily mean that reading a lot of books means you don't value the books you read, but that's just something that I want to do for myself. So, there's that. I'm also going to be trying my hand at vlogging this year. We'll see how that goes. The first two candidates I have for this are a dual read. I'm going to read them side by side, and that is Gallant by V.E. Schwab, which is a reread for me, and Starling House by Alex E. Harrow in the beautiful Illumicrate edition, because I've heard from some people that these books are somewhat similar in what they talk about, so I'm hoping to get to these in January, probably after my BA thesis, let's be quite real here, but they both are not that long. I think they're both either around or under 300 pages, so sounds like a good start to me. Starting the year with gothic fiction, that's always good. Right, so as I said, I have a few reading challenges I did join or make on Storygraph. The two that I'm going to be talking about mainly are the 12 months, 12 books, 12 friends thing that's going around, and the other one is just one that I make for myself every once in a while that I usually call something like Defeat the TBR pile, which I usually try to fill with books that have been or still are on my TBR, as many of them owned as possible, because at some point you're gonna have to read the books that you own. That's another goal of mine for this year, actually, I forgot to say that. I want to end I want to end the year with less unread books on my shelves than I started it with, which obviously means I'm going to have to keep an eye on the books that I buy as well, but that's a different story. Did I pre-order 10 books for next year already? Maybe. That's something that Future Sill is going to have to deal with. Right, so the 12 books in 12 months challenge, as I said, is just a challenge where you read books basically for each month. You can just read them whenever, there's no rules here. And I have 11 that I already know what to read, and the 12th one is for a friend of mine who gave me like 15 recommendations, and I still have to figure out which one I want to read the most. So the first one, which I actually already finished, listen, it was very loud and I could only go to bed at like 3 AM, so I got some reading done. It is what it is. The first one is The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Arikawa Hiro. I got this from a friend. It was really, really lovely. It's very short. I'm going to be talking about it a bit more later on, because technically this was just supposed to be a video where I show you the books that I plan on reading, but alas. So this was one for January. The one for February I don't have yet, but a friend of mine has it and she said she's going to lend it to me, and that's Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. Again, Japanese literature and cats on covers. Yes, thank you. The third one is Belladonna, of which I have a digital copy, and it's been on my phone for a while, so it's time to finally get to it. Fourth one is the same, that's The Raven King by Nora Sakavic. This is the second book in, what's it called? What's the series called? Hold on. All for the Game. That one. I have book 2 and 3, and I'm probably going to read both this year because they're very fast, so yay. The fifth one for May is Idle Burning, which I also don't have, but a friend of mine is lending me the German translated copy. June is To Shape a Dragon's Breath, which I'm really excited for. I've heard good things about it. I'm gonna get this one from my library. July is The Ninth Rain, the first book in, I think is it the Winnowing Flame series? I don't know. I also have a digital copy of this. I've also had it for a while. The next one is the second book in the Can't Spell Treason Without Tea series by, I think Rebecca Thorne is her name, which is called A Pirate's Life for Tea. I don't have this one yet, but I really want to have it because the first book in the series was really lovely, so we'll just continue with that. The next one is A Portrait in Shadow by Nicole Jarvis. This was recommended to me by Cleo, and it's, I think, about a female painter, Artemisia Gentileschi, from the 17th century. I've read a book about her previously and I really enjoyed it, so I'm really looking forward to this one. The next one is Maiden Mother Crone by Joanne Harris, which I got from Sarah. And the last one that I, again, right now have, that I really want to read, is Leviathan Wakes by James S. A. Corey. I'm really excited for this one. I enjoyed the TV series. I'm not done with it by any stretch of the meaning. Like, I'm in season 2 right now, I think. But I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm excited to pick up the books. So, yay to the next big series that I start, I guess. So again, the last one, in case you were still wondering why there's just 11 books on here, the last one is just an amalgamation of every book that another friend of mine recommended to me, and I'm still going to have to figure out which one of those I'm taking. Which is why I put it into the December spot. Right, and the second TBR challenge, as I said, that I put for myself on Goodreads, I just called Defeat the TBR pile, and I pulled some prompts for this from the Illumicrate prompt set cards. So the first one was a book in a format you wouldn't usually read, and I went for an audiobook because I don't read that many audiobooks. And the book is called There's No Way I Die First, which I'm really excited for. I believe it's by a Black author as well, I think, if I remember that correctly. The second one is one... Now, where did I put it? Oh, there it is. The second one is one that I got in a bookstore, basically just because it looked interesting, and it's actually the one that I want to pick up next, and that's Lakiriboto by Ayodele Olofintuade. This is set in Lagos, and I believe it's a mystery thriller about a family in Lagos, and the way that it's described on the back of the book is Lakiriboto is a queer feminist revenge thriller like no other, in which murder, betrayal, and witchcraft collide with explosive results. So I had to get it. Really excited for this. The next one, as I said, these were Illumicrate cards, so the next one was called Your Prettiest Illumicrate Edition, so I got to do what I wanted with that one, and I chose one of the few ones I still have left that I haven't read yet, which is The Sun and the Void by Gabriela Romero La Cruz. I don't know anything about this. I have heard from some people that they didn't really like it that much, so we'll see what happens for me. I think it's one of the longest ones on this TBR because it is actually one of the few ones that's over 500 pages, so we're still chilling, we're still good. The next one I have a digital copy again of, and that is Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. I have been meaning to read this for a while, and I chose it for the prompt, a book with a movie or TV series adaptation, because I do believe it has a TV series adaptation, it's not a movie. I've read Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents by Octavia E. Butler, and that's it so far, so very excited for this one. The next prompt was called A Book with a Color in the Title, and I chose one with 2, so technically that counts for 2 books, right? And that is Empire in Black and Gold by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is going to be the second book I pick up by him, and I'm excited. Unfortunately, it's once again the first book in a series. We're not going to talk about it. Next, a book outside of your comfort zone. Now, that was a bit hard, actually, because I tend to tell myself that I read everything, and then a friend of mine was like, you don't really like romance that much, and I was like, you're kind of right. So I chose a romantasy, a German romantasy written by a German author, which is something I usually really don't go for, which is called Das Buch der gelöschten Wörter by Marie E. Garner. The way to translate this would probably be the Book of Deleted Words, I guess. I think it's the first one in a trilogy, and I've also had it for a while, and I do think the cover is very nice. It's just not my genre, so I was proven wrong by my friend. Next one is a book with multiple POVs, which was relatively easy, and I went with The Weaver and the Witch Queen by Genevieve Gornichek. I wanted to read this last year, and I just didn't get to it, so oh no, now it's on my TBR, that's so sad. Next one is another digital copy of mine, and it's called Every Rising Sun. For the prompt, a book you bought for the cover alone, and since I'm going to be putting up the cover somewhere over here, you're gonna know what I mean. Next one is a book you never finished. This one was really hard actually, because I don't have that many books on my shelves that I never finished. Like some that I started over, sure, but well. But I actually found a German book, or a translation of, I believe, an Italian book, that I never finished, and it's called Blutstolz, so Blood Pride, I guess. I tried this once and I never finished it, so I guess we're doing that now. That's really all I can say about that. I remember nothing, so it's probably best that I start over anyway. The next one was called Your Newest TBR Edition, or, well, technically it was the card of Your Newest Illumicrate book, and I'm going with the December one for this, which is The Principle of Moments by Esmee Gikiemi Pearson. Really excited for this. It's a sci-fi again. We're reading a lot of sci-fi this year, and I'm not mad about it. Also, it's very pretty. And then there's two more we have. One that I still have physically and another one that I still have digitally. We have The Obsidian Tower by Melissa Caruso. This is a reread for me because I want to finish the series because it's a trilogy and I have all of the books. Alas, I don't remember anything from the first one. That's a lie. I probably remember a lot more than I think, but not enough to be emotionally invested anymore. And last but not least, we have The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding. Again, I have this as a digital copy, so, you know, we're gonna have to read my digital copies at some point. I think I have 119 or 120 books on my ebook app. So, whoops. Talking about that really quickly though, I've decided that in order to not be so overwhelmed with the 120 or 109, is it 119? Oh, it's 114! Okay, it's not as bad as I thought. It's very bad. Anyway, so I decided in order to not get too overwhelmed by the high number, triple-digit number, I was going to make a little folder, because that's what you can do on your Kindle app. I decided to make a little folder where I would put some books in that I really wanted to get to in 2024. And I chose the number 20 because it made me happy. And so we're going to be reading these 20 books in 2024, at the very least. That's the plan. And I'm just really quickly going to go through the titles. So the first one is the first 3 books in Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire series. The next one is The Fate of by J.E. Lynn. This is a self-published book, if I remember correctly. Every Rising Sun, which I already talked about, Sour Candy by Keelan Patrick Burke, House of Gold by Arte Risi, Heart Haunt Havoc by Friday's Moon, which is also self-published, Minor Detail by Adania Shibli, a Palestinian author who recently was supposed to receive a German Bookish Prize for the German translation of her book. That's a whole rabbit hole we're not going to go down to, but I'm gonna read the book. The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez, really excited for this one. Belladonna, which I also already talked about. The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin, as well as The Dispossessed by the same author. The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. The Cat Who Saved Books, because we're not done with Japanese books and cats. We never will be. Master of Swords by Justin Call, which I also wanted to read last year and then never did. Sorry, Cleo. For the Throne by Hannah Witten, for which I will be rereading For the Wolf, because I also don't remember anything about it. The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding, The Raven King and the King's Men by Nora Sakovic, and Jade City and Jade War by Fonda Lee. I chose these relatively arbitrary, I just wanted to read them and they sounded interesting to me. I'm going to probably be leaving reviews for like about half of them, I believe. And for the rest of them, I will see just how much brain space they occupy with me, and if I think I am capable of making, like, dedicated reviews for them, essentially. That's really it for my reading plans, like, for the immediate TBR that I have. I do, however, still have one last project that I'm going to be doing on YouTube, and I'm going to be doing this with Sarah from Voyage Through Words and lovely Steph from Coffee Over Apples. I'm going to be linking both of their channels down below, by the way. You better give them love. Because we want to reread Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive series until the 5th and final book comes out. because we have things to say about the series, and they're not going to be positive. So the way that we plan on doing this so far is we kind of want to try and read each book, I think every 2 months, if I remember that correctly, because book 5 is also coming out in, I think, December of this year. December of this year. I'm still in 2023, it happens. And then we want to do in-depth discussions about these books and what we had issues with, what we wanted to talk about a bit further. I'm really excited to be doing this project with them. I'm really, really looking forward to that. We will see how it goes in the end. I unfortunately made the snap decision of selling my copies, so I'm going to get the German ones from the library, so I'm probably not going to be able to talk too much about the writing style unless it's from memory, but you know, everything else is essentially the same. So yeah, that's, I think, everything that we're going to be doing in 2024. So we're going to be focusing on TBRs, and we're going to be focusing on reviews, and we're going to be focusing on having fun with reading, basically. Oh, right, before I forget, let's pull some books. Let's do that. Let's do that last. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the English ones because they're right over there and I don't want to get up. So don't mind the fact that they're in this thing. I'm just gonna, I want this one. No idea what this is. Please don't be one of the super long ones. Ooh, okay, it's 2. Alright, I'm taking the one inside. Oh, okay. Alright, we're going historical. We have Schindler's Ark by Thomas Keneally, which is right here. Okay, so, pretty sure we all know who Schindler was. I hope so. In case you don't, he tried to save Jewish people from going to Auschwitz during World War II. He was not a good person by any means, like, you know, character-wise speaking. At first he tried to keep the people back because, you know, they were cheaper labor in his manufacturing business. But it's still a very big story of World War II nonetheless. I do believe that a lot of people have heard about this. I've had this book for super long. I don't even remember where I got it from. And we're gonna read it. We're gonna read it. Apparently it won a Booker Prize in 1982, so there's that. Would you look at that? So yeah, this is what we're going to be reading from the English pile. I'm just gonna put that here. And now, let's go for this. If I pull the one that or the 2 that I have right now, I'm gonna be very amused. Okay. Okay, it's fantasy. That's already good. For those of you who don't know, I have a little list. We have fantasy, mystery, and miscellaneous, which was just everything I didn't know where else to put. And we have, ooh, that's a different one though. I'm gonna get it. Hold up. Okay, so the one I pulled is Flammenwüste by Akram El-Bahai. I think a translation of this would be Flame Desert. It sounds very lame in English. I'm sorry. Whew. And I think this might be the first in a series as well. I think. Because there is another one that sounds like a second book in a series. Oh well, I know nothing about this book. I'm pretty sure I either got it for free or super cheap. So there's that. This is the one that I'm going to be trying from my German TBR pile this month. Again, with these 2 books, so with this one as well as Schindler's Ark, I'm giving myself the option of DNFing them immediately if they don't grab my attention, because that's the entire point of this endeavor. It's literally just about, do I want to get rid of the books or not? So yeah, that's these are the two. This is wonderful. Actually, you know what? That's a decent mix, and they're not too big either. I'm kind of relieved about that. I have one English book that's, I think, like 1,400 pages, and I don't want to read that in January. I would have put that back. Legitimately, I'm not kidding. I would have put that back. So, now that you know everything about my, like, grand reading plans for this year, I hope that you're having a nice start of 2024. I hope that we can all strive to better ourselves in the new year. I hope that we can all strive to still be cozy despite all of that. And I hope that we're all still having fun with the reading that we do. And we learn for ourselves that numbers don't define us. This is what I want to tell myself, okay? So, you know, take this with a grain of salt, I suppose, but please keep in mind that this is a hobby, and if you're not enjoying yourself, you can change that by just doing something differently. Alright. As always, I hope that you have a nice reading experience yourself and that you keep having a nice reading experience, and I will see you soon.